Dear brothers, what's up, boys? It's been a hot week here of us talking about friendship. So I'm going to continue that topic today with another kind of important idea that I was running across that I think all of you are going to resonate with, hopefully. And that is this: you are going to lose friends the minute that you are willing to endure pain and suffering and act different, if you will, to reach a specific goal. Not because they don't like you and you don't like them or you don't love them, but it basically factors out that they're unwilling to also go through some kind of suffering and difficulty themselves. And that separation between the two of you is just something that isn't gonna work. And when you want to reach some level of excellence, only the like-minded people are going to join in with that. So I kind of like to think about this in phases of life. So I obviously had lots of different people that I was close to when I was a teenager, and then certainly different people in college and more in, grad school, and then certainly some after that as I got into the professional world. And some of them I still have relationships with from childhood, but a great majority of those people I grew away from. And certainly, don't get me wrong, some of that is just because I moved 1,300 miles away from most people I grew up with or went to college with, or we have different lifestyles. But there's a very large chunk of people that I stopped being close to because I decided that my life needed to go in a better direction, in a direction that I thought I needed. So I would say that something similar, or examples might be like this. I would want to spend a couple more hours working on my business, or I wanted to get up early in the morning to get my workouts in because I was trying to prep for powerlifting. I said no to going out in the middle of the week to drink a bunch of beers or whatever at the bars because it was messing with my ability to be productive the rest of the week, and I was tired of having the hangovers in the morning, and it just wasn't productive to what I was trying to do. And it was slow. It wasn't like this happened overnight. But little by little, I was like, man, this stuff just isn't moving the needle in the right direction. And I was starting to say no to hanging out with certain groups or cliques of people because most of the time, and don't take any of this offensively to people listening, but they only gave a shit about drinking, smoking, and screwing around. And I would go over to these parties or get-togethers, no matter the time of day, and absolutely nothing was going on with a lot of these people. They were almost like they were trying to live in their high school years or early college years with nothing progressing. Anytime that I would say I wasn't coming, or hey, sorry, I'm working on my business, or hey, I've got to study for this, or do some schoolwork, or whatever, I would get these snarky comments back, and stuff along the lines of being a goody two-shoes, or you need to stop thinking about your fitness so much and not care so much about trying to accomplish these. Like, who do you think you are? You're trying to be better than everybody else. And the hard part about this is that used to hurt me a little bit because these were people that I cared for. They were friends, and you would think that people you care for would want you to go be the best version of yourself, but in hindsight, when I look at it now, they were uncomfortable with the fact that I wanted to progress, and they really didn't, or they weren't willing to do that work. And it ended up being one of those situations where I realized that the buddies I had were adults in age only. Otherwise, they wanted to act like little boys. They wanted to act like children. They didn't want responsibility. They didn't want to progress themselves. They hated the idea of challenging themselves. And in fairness, I couldn't make them do any of those things. And so I had to make the decision that although I loved them and they were homies and we had a blast together and great memories, we weren't going in the right direction. And spending time with them was taking away from my future goals and becoming the best version of myself and advancing myself in the world. And that had to stop. And sure enough, it did. Acutely, that hurt me a lot. And I mean that in the sense of I struggled with it because I was letting friends go. And good friends, people that I had spent a lot of time with and had memories with. And it felt like I was like embracing the fact, or I was just becoming lonely because I literally started deleting people from my life. And for a while, that was a little tricky. I did feel alone in some capacities. And I can even remember when I went to grad school feeling like, man, I've let go of a lot of people. And, hopefully, I was committed to the fact that if I started to change, I thought that other like-minded people would surround me. But I had a lot of doubts about that. But nonetheless, as I had been told and as could be predicted, when you change your own actions and you learn to live through some suffering, like-minded men tend to just find you out. You're like a magnet to them, just like, they are to you. And, I ended up meeting guys that I could sit with and talk to about, I'm going to call them harder topics, about working hard, being better men, how to be good boyfriends and how to be good husbands. And, what do you think about kids? And what about good and evil? Do you believe in God? Do you not? What are you doing in your business? Oh, tell me a little bit about that. People that were truly intrigued by what I was doing. And more than that, but they were respectful. They were dependable. They were honest. They were men. I think about it all the time when I think I'll have friends come and visit, and it'll just be kind of a random night, and inevitably the boys will go out, we'll be on the balcony, we'll have a glass of whiskey, we'll have a cigar or two, and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. And you've just been talking about life and all those topics I just mentioned to you guys, being better men, being husbands, committing to something greater than yourself. And for those of you that have had those kind of conversations, you know what it feels like to leave them feeling you feel full, like wholesome, like your soul has been, like your cup is overflowing. Like you just feel like your battery pack has been just boosted and you're like ready to take on the world and conquer. And that is what happens when you make the decision, when you get to the point where you've gotten rid of those in your life that weren't going to help you. And you start pursuing better, pursuing excellence for yourself. You decided to endure suffering. You decided to make some deletions in your friend group. And because of that, I gained leveled up friends, if you will. Friends who challenged me, friends who made me want more, who wanted the most for me. Like we've talked about in several episodes over the last week, the fact that they have expectations of me, and no matter what, they want the absolute best for me, no matter what. So understand, boys, when you choose excellence, you're going to lose some folks. There's going to be some people that you have to leave behind, and that's just something you're going to have to accept. But the dudes, the homies you gain will be the absolute best men you have ever had in your life. I have so many of them around me now, and there are days where, I just have to count my blessings that I've had good men around me. And I know that a part of that is because I've put the work in. And I've decided to focus on being a better man and contributing to society, hopefully in a better way with things like this podcast and what I do for work. And hopefully just how I treat people as a reflection of what God wants me to do, I pray. And when you do that, good men will come into your life. But you've got to start fixing your own household first. And I promise you when you do that, even if you're feeling lonely in that time, good dudes are going to be brought into your life. And you're going to be more than blessed by them. Maybe this will be our last little episode on friendship here for a while, but I think it's important that we've discussed that a lot this last week, and I pray that brings some blessings in your own life. I love you all. God bless. Be strong. Let's get after it today, and go conquer some stuff, boys. We'll see you.